Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Transfer Review, where we put silly season underneath the microscope. Joining me, it's the one and only best chest in the West. It's Doogie Critchley, or Dougie, as his friends call him.
Yeah, either or. You can never get it right.
Exclusively me. First transfer that we're going to interrogate a little bit more is Higuain to Chelsea. Obviously, we've touched upon it previously, but the situation's developing at a snail's pace though.
Yeah, it's certainly not going along quickly, but Chelsea are still hoping to secure the services of AC Milan striker Gonzalo Higuain by the end of the week, according to the Telegraph, so it might be starting to speed up now. It's understood that the forward, he wants to cut short his loan spell at the San Siro, he's obviously on loan from Juventus, and reunite with his former Napoli boss Maurizio Sarri at Chelsea. And AC Milan chiefs Paolo Scaroni, Ivan Gazidis and Paolo Maldini, what a legend he was, are reportedly in Jeddah, which is in Saudi Arabia. To clarify, that's where the Supercoppa Italiano is taking place at the moment, and they are holding talks with the Serie A champions Juventus about Higuain's future, so they want him permanently as well. But according to the report, the Blues have been in talks with both sides over signing the 31-year-old, but the deal has been made slightly more complicated by various payments promised to Juve and the option to make his loan permanent that's still in his contract from AC Milan. So in order to terminate the loan so that the old lady can sell him, AC Milan will expect to be refunded some of the £16 million they paid up front last summer. And Juve don't really want to miss out on the £32 million fee they agreed to convert into the permanent transfer this summer. So there's various different things to match in.
They'd be the losers here because his value is no doubt gone down.
Exactly. So all in all, hijacking Milan's deal for Higuain could cost Chelsea £40 million in fees plus his wages. So this is turning out to be an incredibly expensive transfer. And Chelsea will need to really justify that because they've got this current policy where they only offer one-year contracts to players over 30. They don't really like to spend that much money on players over 30. So there's various things holding this deal back. But Chris, do you think Higuain would be a good addition if they can get it done?
You threw me there a little bit with the fact the Super Coppa is being held in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, maybe a little money.
Of that is questionable,
money
isn't
talks.
it? But I suppose we're here for transfers, so I digress. Yeah, Chelsea running out of options and fast, aren't they? We've talked about it at length. Eden Hazard, despite putting up good numbers as a false number 9, does not want to play there. And when you're trying to get the Belgian to sign a new contract, but perhaps not the best thing to insist on him playing up there by himself. You know, he wants far more touches, doesn't he? He wants to be more involved in the game. He likes it down that left-hand side. Now they've got Pulisic down the right. They might be able to convince him to stay with a new look front line, one that's a little bit more prolific than the one they have at current. Now, like you said, he's been lethal under Sarri before, scored 91 goals in 146 games during Sarri's tenure at the San Paolo Stadium. The 15-16 was the highlight of his time there and the highlight of his career, in fact. He scored 36 in 35 Serie A games, breaking Gunnar Nordal's record to boot. And that pretty much engineered his £78 million move to Turin, and he had a decent time of it at Juventus. I think the fans were quite sorry to see him go. He was always someone that tried exceptionally hard for the team, that maybe started to drop back a little bit to his own detriment in terms of his numbers. But so far this season, his numbers have been, as have AC Milan, inconsistent. So 15 appearances, 6 goals and 1 assist. Now, that, in terms of league form, isn't too dissimilar from Alvaro Morata. So 11 starts, I've not got the substitute appearances down here, 5 goals, 0 assists in the Premier League. Giroud, their other option, who's inexplicably been linking with Barcelona. I mean, I love Giroud, but what is he now, 34? Yeah. He's got 1 goal and 4 assists in the Premier League. I do think he's their second best provider of that current, behind Eden Hazard, which is incredible.
Great in link
They're
up.
just not creating high quality chances, Chelsea, at the moment. Hazard pretty much bearing the brunt of this. He's carrying his team, isn't he? 18 starts, 10 goals, 10 assists. Like I said, as a makeshift number 9, 5 appearances, 3 goals and 4 assists when in that position. But as said multiple times, in very public domains, that he doesn't want to play there. So Higuain could be it's more short-termism from Chelsea, isn't it? Like you said, they would be paying an exceptional amount of money for someone whose numbers have deteriorated a substantial amount. I have no doubt he'd be okay for 6 months, but is that worth the outlay of £40 million?
No, I don't think it is at all. But I think this is tempered by the fact that Morata's now pretty determined to leave.
Atletico Madrid on the horizon.
Atletico Madrid, I think they've already agreed terms for what I was reading today, and so Chelsea are desperate to get a replacement in. Higuain would be a good replacement, but for £40 million, that's a hell of a lot of money. I think they should, make Morata stay, make Giroud stay, and go really hard for Icardi this summer. I think that's a better move long term. And they're also going to have to fill another midfield slot. They probably need another centre-back in the next couple of years as well. So there's other issues in this team. And they've also scored the fewest goals out of all top 6 sides.
Yeah, they're actually very similar to Conte's team last season. Conte's underperforming team, producing around the same amount of expected goals per game. I think Sarri's side maybe edge it by 0.05 or something ridiculous, and sort of conceding marginally less as well. So they've not really kicked on in the way that their first 5-6 games suggested they were going to. Talking of kicking on though, AC Milan's replacement was supposedly be Genoa's Piatek, who we've spoke about before at length. He sort of maintained his very decent start to the season. He's got 30 in 18. He's still averaging above 4 shots per 90, which it surprised me. I thought that his shot numbers would sort of dwindle, maybe settle to a very reasonable 3, but he's still taking high quality shots, 2.9 of those from inside the box for a Genoa side that struggled last season for goals. So they weren't set up by any means for him just to slot in that side after he moved from Poland and to score a sensational amount of goals at the start of the campaign. But he's 8 years the junior of Higuain, and he's valued at €23 million by CIES.
Ooh.
Give me a C. Give it up. What was that?
I don't know. It's very guttural.
I mean, you have got, the biggest throat in the Western Hemisphere. But I don't think they'd get him for 23s. You know what? They'd want much more than
Definitely.
that.
After only 6 months as well.
I can't see this merry-go-round really occurring in the next week. Maybe Alvaro Morata to Atletico, but really, 40 million for Higuain? Would it be worth it, guys? Let us know in the poll just above.
Right, next up, we're heading over to Paris, where they're potentially looking at Julian Weigl, Christopher.
Yeah, this one quite interesting because I've not heard anything about Julian Weigl at the start of this campaign. Doesn't seem to be in Lucien Favre's good books,
Certainly not,
at all. In fact, he struggled over the last 18 months, and he was really highly rated before this, wasn't he? We like him. Think he'd do well at...
he was linked to Barcelona, Man City.
As a deep-lying playmaker, clubs that like to play it out from the back. So, could be an interesting pickup here. Now, according to outlets France Football and Le Parisien, Borussia Dortmund's Julian Weigl has become PSG's top target, not just a target. No doubt, this is in the face of Adrien Rabiot leaving the club. I'm not sure if it's confirmed that he signed a pre-contract agreement with Barcelona, but I think it's like the best kept secret in football at the moment. And when you take a look at Adrien Rabiot's numbers, you can see exactly why Barcelona would go all in for him. This guy, wait 6 months for a man of his services, because in terms of deep progressions, in terms of sort of chance creation, he's pretty much an anomaly in Europe right now. He's doing everything. I retweeted a graph by Ray Hamill. Go and check it out on my timeline, and you'll see what I mean. He's sort of, actually kind of usurping Thiago Alcantara in that regard, which is not often you see that. Okay, back to the league and leaders, who, like I said, need a number 6, don't they? Who's been playing there off and on at the moment? Yeah, Marquinhos has been a sort of utility man for them, hasn't he, of late? But yes, they want a more long-term partner for Marco Verratti, and they're keen to sign defensive midfielders in general, it would seem, with Everton's Idrissa Gueye and Watford's Decore also on their radar. Now, Idrissa Gueye has pretty much been holding down the fort for Everton. At his time at the Toffees, and this is taken straight from a Michael McCubbin script, he's averaged over 6 tackles and interceptions at a time when Everton have still been very, very defensively suspect. Although he is 29, which surprised me, spent a long time at Lille, So this might be a sort of Lasana Diarra type pickup where they're just looking for someone to have in their ranks who is that reliable go-to man that might not play, 30 plus games a season. Although Idrissa Gueye is definitely fit enough to play double that. The guy just seems to get better.
Goes on and on, doesn't he?
Doucouré, slightly different player for me. Not sure that I get that. A little bit more.
It's not really a defensive midfielder.
A little bit more box to box. Not massive defensive numbers. It's chimed in on the attacking end.
Great arriving late in the box, but not the same as Idrissa Gueye.
It's sort of surprised me with his final ball in recent seasons. It's been very good, hasn't it? But Thiago Silva, I've been waxing lyrical about Idrissa Gueye, saying that he knows he has the quality to play at the club. So it would seem that as well as Julian Weigl, they're looking to pick up someone on the defensive end too. But I digress. They've not contacted Everton yet in official capacity. Back to Julian Weigl. I've left this section for you, sort of teeing you up.
Yeah.
Talking about Idrissa Gueye there. Bit of a tangent, but go ahead.
Let me finish it.
The old three-pointer.
Yeah,
that was the least convincing.
It was a bit floppy, wasn't it? Yeah, I've never played basketball. Wish I had. Tuchel is incredibly keen to sign Weigl. And the 23-year-old, it works both ways. He's very keen to work with his former coach. Apparently they've spoken on the phone, a little, Julian, do you want to come to Paris? Oh yeah, I'm up for it.
Shouldn't have.
And they've made an informal agreement that Weigl will sign for the French club, which is a bit naughty, not really allowed. They're hoping that they can bring him in on loan with the option to buy him this summer, which will actually probably work both ways, because Dortmund, he's not getting a lot of game time, which I'll get on to him in due course. Dortmund are still involved in 3 competitions under Favre, and BVB have said they're not interested in loaning him out. They've actually put a price tag of 75 million euros on him, which seems like a lot for someone that hasn't played a lot. But the CIES only value him at 19, which is probably, I think somewhere in the middle is probably his proper value, maybe closer to 40, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, I think.
Oh, come on, mate.
Yeah, there we go. I'm still choking on my bad 3-pointer. Anyway, despite the public comments, Weigl clearly isn't Favre's first choice, and a lack of minutes could drive him out of the Westfalen Stadium. He's only made 4 league appearances this season and 3 UCL starts, which is a bit more surprising. Dortmund actually topped that group with Atletico Madrid in the end, so he actually played pretty well in parts in there. He averaged 3 tackles and interceptions per game in the UCL, but his stats have decreased quite a bit from his peak of 16-17 under Tuchel. Back then he made 30 starts, he averaged 5.1 tackles and interceptions per 90.
So good,
he was dispossessed just 0.8 times per 90, completed 1 dribble and also won 2 aerial duels. Last year that went down to 25 starts and 4.2 tackles and interceptions, and this year his game time has been even further reduced.
Yeah. I mean, their whole team is built around speed now, isn't it? It's about breaking out of defence quickly rather than building up the play and having someone that can retain the ball and sort of take the pressure off the defence.
He's certainly not the quickest, but he does have a great range of passing. He's a reasonable dribbler. He's pretty strong in the tackle.
Tall guy.
Tall guy as well, rangy. But we're sort of asking the question, who would be a better fit here? And I think it'd be easier to get Weigl on loan this window than Idrissa Gueye at the moment. I don't think Everton will be very keen on signing him. I don't think Doucouré would be very easy to get out of Watford either. Julian Weigl, if they could get him on loan with the view to a permanent this summer, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you'd be paying probably the same amount for Idrissa Gueye that you would for Julian Weigl, just because Everton don't need to sell.
Very rich owners.
And he's so crucial to that team. So it makes far more sense to go for Julian Weigl, who does have certain similarities to Adrien Rabiot and probably would be a little bit more expansive in the Ligue 1. However, just get Lo Celso back. I mean, he's playing better as an attacking midfielder than as a deep line playmaker. But
what a player.
What a guy. Last but not least, we have our transfer shocker, and I just don't know what to believe anymore when it comes to Barcelona, because this is a team that actually bid £70 million for Willian, and it was actually rejected.
Bizarre move.
What is going on? I mean, more bizarre moves linking, players that you would not expect to the Blaugrana. Who is it now?
Yeah, well, get a load of this, because they're looking for another forward. After the departure of Meunier, they obviously let him go for £1 million to Sevilla. How?
Malcolm must be doing his nutting.
Absolutely crazy, which has left them pretty short in attack. Suarez is their only out-and-out number 9 left, and they're looking at Christian Stuani. He's currently playing for Catalan neighbours Girona. You might remember him if you're fans of the Premier League from his brief spell at Middlesbrough.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
Good time of it in Spain,
it was pretty unmemorable, but he did score an absolute brilliant goal, which McCubbin behind the camera tells me is one of his favourite Premier League goals of all time.
To be fair to him, I don't think he played in a particularly prolific Middlesbrough side.
No, certainly not. I think it was when they were under Karanka and they barely got out of their own half even. But he's actually played really well this season for Girona. He's got 12 goals, which leaves him only third to Messi and Suarez in La Liga. He's actually got 33 goals in his last 50.
I mean, that is impressive.
Over the last 2 seasons in Spain.
He's the new Alvarez, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And he's open to a mid-season switch. I mean, so would I if Barcelona came calling. He has a release clause of just 15 million euros. And a 32-year-old, he would be an able backup to Suarez. I mean, not long-term, but they just need someone for 6 months, effectively. He actually hasn't commented on the rumours, but Girona boss Eusebio Sacristan has confirmed that Barcelona have registered an interest. So this has legs. Calling it a badge of honour for Stuani. I completely agree. I'd love that badge of honour one day. But he's also insisted he'll remain at the club until the end of the season at least. So mixed messages coming out. Sport, the Barcelona-based paper, have claimed that the Blaugrana might stall on triggering the striker's release clause to prevent ruining their relationship with Girona. I actually can't see that happening. If Barcelona wants something, they'll tend to go for it. But they're not just looking at Stuani, are they?
No.
There's another shocker.
What,
in
apart
here.
from you?
Exactly, yeah.
In what capacity are you representing Barcelona? Basketball?
You know, yeah, as we've seen, no. I don't know, maybe a rangy right back. You know, Semedo and Sergio Roberto have never really nailed down that right back.
Barcelona TV, do they need an English correspondent? We will loan you Doug.
Yeah, I'm not wanted here anymore. If I was ever wanted to.
Or Duke, whichever. Stuani, yes, like you said, isn't Barcelona's only option. We know, everyone knows by now they've been linked with Olivier Giroud, but we can't talk about Stuani in isolation without talking about the Frenchman, because according to some media outlets, and no doubt the price has been inflated, like we said at the start of the video, it's silly season. Barcelona, seemingly, in inverted commas, willing to part with £20 million to land the 34-year-old Frenchman just to see out this season. I think, are they just becoming increasingly giddy at how badly Real Madrid are doing? You know, Sevilla slipped up at the weekend. I think maybe they're just...
They've still got a big Champions League campaign to run. It's bizarre. I don't know why you'd let Munir go, even though I was tagging him in the podcast for a move.
I think they're overcompensating somewhat here. Thinking about that Luis Suarez potential injury, he has clocked up an awful lot of minutes in the last couple of years. It looked like it was taking its toll on him at the start of the season, at least output-wise, performance-wise, still fine. But it's not. And there's other offers on the table for Giroud that seem a lot more feasible. There's always the China route, isn't there? But I mean, like I kind of interjected earlier, Malcolm, who can, you know, Messi can go at number 9 if Luis Suarez gets injured. He made it, you know, career under Pep Guardiola playing as that false number 9. Malcolm could go on the right, Dembele can go on the left. Dembele, brilliant, you know, judicious on either foot. Judicious when it comes to choosing either foot. Okay, getting a bit tongue-tied here, but anyway. So yeah, I don't... It's so piecemeal, Barcelona's transfer policy at the moment, isn't it? It felt like that with Vidal a little bit. Vidal's, you're not necessarily
really
getting the minutes.
Sense.
Neither is Coutinho. I mean, it kind of made sense, I guess. They were lacking a little bit of a goal-scoring impetus from midfield in the absence of Paulinho, but it was also like, he's 30
It's the wrong age, wrong age bracket. But January does funny things to people. Do you remember last January when Chelsea were linked with Ashley Barnes?
This is the equivalent of that.
It's mental. Everything goes on in
Barcelona are having
January.
that Peter Crouch, Ashley Barnes.
Yeah,
Who else was
it was anyone over 6 foot. I think, you know, what's his name? Vokes from Burnley. I think he was having a look in as well. I mean, it was a free-for-all, really.
Is this just the mainstream media toying with us?
Potentially.
Or is there actual substance to it? Maybe you've heard something we haven't. Let us know in the comments below if so. But that's the end of the show. It's the end of the day. It's about 7 o'clock. We're going home.
I'm going
but
to
if you
Pizza
want to
Express,
continue,
actually. Can't wait.
Pizza of choice?
American on a Romana base with a side of dough balls. And maybe
So what is American? A lot of salami.
That's just
a lot
salami,
of red
yeah,
meats.
and just a meat
They're
feast,
carcinogenics. As bad for you as smoking, so
Oh.
get off them.
Here we go, okay.
4 cheeses for me.
I feel like my mum
Dairy
said.
industry just as bad as the meat industry. So
True.
I've
True,
really got a
true.
leg to stand on. Go and watch non-ink vlogs.
Yes, please
Look up
do.
behind the camera, looking all essential.